Did you ever have a client whose problem seemed so big and so complex that you were actually a little bit scared to work with them? In today's video, we're going to discuss a solution to that very problem. Hi, I'm Larry Valmore. Most clients and therapists have had this experience. They've encountered a client whose problems just seem so huge, so difficult, so complex that they're frightened to work with them. They feel like maybe they should refer them out somewhere. And there's a couple problems. One is they're afraid, for one thing, that they're going to hurt this client in some way. They're going to damage them or injure them in some way. The other problem is that they're afraid to fail. Nobody likes to fail. And no therapist or coach likes to injure somebody or hurt somebody. Recently, one of my clients, and keep in mind that most of my clients are coaches or therapists, recently, one of my clients ran into exactly that kind of problem. Let's call her Jane, just to preserve her identity, her privacy. Jane had a client whose problem seemed so huge, so difficult, so complex that she was actively thinking about referring this client out to somebody else, somebody with more experience, somebody with more degrees, somebody with more letters after their name or something. And this was a problem because this client had bought into a 3-month-long coaching program. The client then had a single session with Jane, and then she canceled the rest of the program. Now, you've probably already guessed that the reason, most likely the reason that this client canceled, is that she picked up on Jane's discomfort, Jane's worry that she wasn't going to be sufficiently helpful. And on the surface, it would appear that the problem was the client's huge difficulties, huge problems. But you've probably already guessed that the real problem is Jane's self-doubt, her lack of confidence. Because Jane has a spiritual approach to life, I asked her this question. I said, Jane, which people having which kind of huge, difficult, complex troubles and problems, which of these people would God say, I can't handle this? In what situations would God say, oh, myself, this person's problems are way too big for me to handle? Well, Jane just laughed, which actually was what I was going for. So once we had the principle that nobody's going to have a problem too big for God to help solve, I told Jane a little bit about my own experience in life. And one of the things is that over the years, some of my clients, or in some cases where I've been at a workshop and I'm demonstrating, I'm doing a coaching session as a demonstration with this audience, my clients or people from these workshops have come up to me and said, oh my God, you are brilliant. That was just amazing what you did. Now, it feels nice to be told I'm brilliant. Most people enjoy that sort of thing. But I have never taken that on like, oh my gosh, obviously I'm brilliant. What I say to these people is, yeah, I'm just brilliant enough to allow Spirit to help me. So I take it that every single time, this is my rock solid belief, my knowing, really, I know that every time I launch into a session with a client, that Spirit is there figuratively whispering in my ear. So I listen. And so what we did with Jane, using this Sacred Abundance Blueprint, which is this method that my wife, Leanna, and I have created along with Spirit, using the Sacred Abundance Blueprint, we helped Jane come to a cellular level knowing that Holy Spirit, which is her favorite term for this higher version of who we are, she came to this knowing that Holy Spirit is by her side every time she works with a client, working collaboratively with her. Now, a couple days after our session, I got a text from Jane. She had just had a session with her own client, and the text said, "Wow, Holy Spirit and I just had the best coaching session ever." And then she said, "This client is a delight." So remember, you're never alone in coaching unless you choose to be. And the wiser choice is to work hand in hand with Spirit. Now, if you like the video, please hit like. And if you dislike it, hit dislike. Doesn't matter, but touch one of those, either thumbs up or thumbs down. And if you think the video has value to a friend or colleague, please feel free to share the link so that they can watch it too. So long for now. For Sacred Mind, I'm Larry Valmore. And remember, you're divine.